So after several years of putting it off, I finally got the Tier 8 American Premium Heavy Tank, T34. The reason I didn't already have one from my American Heavy Grind is I actually didn't have it in my garage when they switched the tree over. So I also don't have an M103, which I should be picking up fairly soon. But I do have an E5 and a T30. Now, I've been seeing goons and hobbies alike bitch for the longest time. Oh, the T34 sucks. It has such an inaccurate gun, rah rah rah. So I figured it was science time. I'd get my own and see if the gun was really all that. Obviously it has gun bloom issues when it's moving. It's a heavy tank with a huge gun that punches above its weight. I don't know how that confuses people. But of course I found that if you actually sit and let your gun aim instead of snapshotting like a complete fucking pub star, it is perfectly accurate. That and this gun at tier 8 is so powerful you don't even really need to aim for weak spots. Maybe against tier 10s you do, but against tier 8s, just aim wherever you want. So I'm going city here on Fisherman's Bay, because even though I can't make use of my hold down, I can side scrape, and we have way too much shit going west anyway. So I figure this guy's going to poke out, and sure enough, boom. You see, that wasn't even fully aimed, it hit where it was going. I'd imagine before the Sigma changes to gun dispersion it was probably a bit worse. That one could have veered into the concrete, but you know, it was a partially aimed shot. Honestly, if that had missed, I wouldn't have been that surprised. So you can see me here, a bit clunky at driving. I'm trying to maneuver my front around so that I can get the best side scraping position off this corner. KB2's just fired, so I know he's not dangerous. I pop him before he can get away, just because I don't want him hitting my teammates. And here's a JT88. I'm side scraped basically perfectly against him. As you can see here, he manages to zero damage track me, and then he's just zero damaging me. That shot went through his upper plate, by the way. So yeah, not where it was aimed because it wasn't fully aimed in yet, but still through his upper plate like it wasn't there. And you can see he's just bouncing off me every shot. The American heavies, aside from being really good at hold down, which is the more obvious aspect, a lot of people don't realise they're also really, really good at side scraping, just because they have such broad tracks that take up virtually their entire side armour, and the turret sides are very thick as well. So I rush this Tiger P, get up and face hug him so he can't easily hit my hole. You can see he's looking for a cupola shot there. And then he gives up and aims at the KV2 instead, who splashes me with his HE shell. I take the hit off the Tiger P just because I know he's about to be dead, and sure enough he is dead, though not by me. I see my next victim up here. And there he is. Boom. Tank handles very much like the T29 and the T30 and all the tanks of that sort of whole series. It's not slow, but it's not fast either. It doesn't turn very well, but it's not immobile. It's kind of it's very American, it's very generalist. It does everything well, but it doesn't do anything spectacularly except for hold down. I would say the American tanks are probably the easiest to play in the entire game, by far. The Soviet tanks actually take more skill. The KV-1 is probably the easiest heavy tank in the game to play, 4 tier, but overall the American heavies are just easier in general. And the KV leads to tanks which are a little more difficult. So I'm aiming in on this guy, but you see I didn't snapshot, I waited for my aim, so someone else got him before I could get an accurate shot off. That's okay. I'm just sitting and waiting for a target to pop here. You can see the aim time on this tank is rather slow. I think I have a GLD on it as well as the vert stab, so it's a bit less than it would be normally. but it's still quite sluggish. With that said, from playing the Wheezy 120, I've become rather accustomed to shitty aim time, so I can handle it. Just looking for one of these two guys to back out of cover here, or for him to appear. Hello. So you can see I wait for my shot to aim and then manage to get a hit on him. It's just a case of not snapshotting, really. That's the secret to not missing everything in this tank. If you snapshotted there, you'd miss, definitely, but if you just sit and let it aim, there you go. And of course I missed because it was a ropey shot to begin with and he reversed, but it went more or less where it was aimed. The accuracy of the gun once aimed in is actually quite decent. It's not great, but it's certainly passable. So you can see that was another badly aimed shot rather than the tank. I was actually aiming at the corner of his front plate, which I should have realised from the way he was pointing. This shot obviously is not going to have the same problem. Now I should note this gun has, at tier 8, remember, 400 alpha, 248 AP pen. The pen on the APCR is 297. That is pretty fucking good for a tier 8. So this tank can quite comfortably deal with tier 10s, and if it's hull down, tier 10s can't comfortably deal with it. So it's quite a strong premium tank in that regard. Actually, considering that premium tanks are supposed to be weaker than their tech tree tier mates, I'm not exactly sure what the balancing factor on this thing is. It might just be the fairly terrible gun handling and slow rate of fire and everything, but I mean, it is a spectacular gun for a tier 8 tank. It's almost, I think it's like a tier 9 gun or a tier 10 gun or something. It's a really, really fucking good gun. And the chassis isn't half bad either.